Am I the a-hole for telling my biodad I don't want to meet him? I, male 20, was born to a single mom. Both my biological parents aged out in foster care and had a lot of issues growing up. My mom was 17 when she had me, and she saw this as an opportunity to get her life in order. Meanwhile, my dad left while she was still pregnant. My mom got married to my stepdad when I was 4, and he adopted me right around that time, and has been the best dad I could ever ask for. Luckily, he comes from a huge family. So along with my dad, I also got grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins, and was given an awesome childhood. Growing up, my biodad was never really mentioned. My mom never said anything about him other than he wasn't ready to be a parent, which I was okay with. 2 months ago, he contacted me through social media. He did a whole, "Hey, I'm your dad" message and asked if we could talk. At first, I didn't mind. I gave him my number and we chatted a bit. He seemed to be doing okay and was overall a pleasant person, until I mentioned my relationship with my stepdad. For some reason, he got really upset that I call him dad and are very close. He even got upset that I speak Korean. My stepdad is Korean and we lived in South Korea for 7 years. And basically called me a traitor for accepting another man as my dad. I was quite speechless and told him that since he was the one to walk out on me, he has no right to judge me or my dad, and said that if he feels this way, we should probably go back to being strangers. Again, he called me a traitor and began sending countless of messages to my mom about how she turned me against him, which is simply not true. I ended up blocking him, and I thought I was in the right about it. But my friends keep saying that it's natural he feels threatened and jealous, and I overreacted and should give him another chance to get to know him. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It is not natural that a man who abandoned his child should be threatened that he was replaced by another man. With that line of reasoning, your biodad is saying he would have preferred you had no father figure and had been alone. The fact that he is putting his own shame and delayed need to have a son above your needs as a child and attacking you shows that you are way better off returning to strangers. Just because you share DNA does not mean that gives him the right to treat you poorly. I'm really glad you were saying that, because to me it sounded absurd when he began calling me a traitor. It felt so unfair to hear those things at that moment, and it was almost like he was disappointed that I had a good life with a good family, instead of being more like him, I suppose. Thank you for the advice. Your friends are idiots. Can't argue with that, but I did see the point they were trying to make. It's still hard though to even imagine a future relationship with that person. Not the a-hole. He's not your dad. He's simply the person who got your mom pregnant. Genetic links don't create relationships. So glad you got such a great dad to actually raise you. But my friends keep saying that it's natural he feels threatened and jealous, and I overreacted and should give him another chance to get to know him. Why is it that so many people who post on here have really lousy friends? I mean, seriously, not the a-hole OP at all. He's almost 40. He's been out of your life for 20 years. He should dang well know that you had your own life. And as someone who grew up in the system, unless he spent the last 20 years in a bottle or impaled on a needle in an alley, he should know you make your own family when you can. He is probably riding high in jealousy right now. Your friends are right on that. But that's not your problem. And him taking out anything on you or your mother is an instant call to cut contact. Him striking out in jealousy and hurt shows you his character. I know that you're right. And while I don't think my friends are lousy, I'm really glad I was able to read all the advice given to me here and see everyone's perspective. The thing is, whenever I think about this man, I feel sad for him because he aged out in the system and had to deal with his fair share of bad situations. So I kind of find myself excusing his behavior, which I know is wrong. But given everything he said and has done since, I don't think I'll unblock him anytime soon. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepmother she's not the most important woman in my life? My dad is married to Jenny. They've been together for a little over 6 years and married for about 4 now. And dad was a widower when they met. I'm 16 female, and my siblings are 14 female and 12 male. Our mom died 8 years ago. Jenny's not adjusted well to being a step-parent. I think she thought she would be just a parent to us because our mom had died. I didn't consider that we'd still talk about and have photos of mom. And over the years, she has been to therapy and her and my dad have gone to couple sessions. In the last year, the 5 of us have gone to family therapy and she has admitted it's hard for her because she feels like she's second best or a consolation to us and that we don't really love and want her. Dad assured her that we all love her just as much as Mom, that she's his number one and is vital to our family. For a while then in sessions, she and the therapist would talk about how she feels. Like she's not a true member of the family, like she's a second-class member, not someone we see as important in the structure of the family. She said she never felt love from any of us, and she feels like even extended family, which she explicitly said was my grandparents and my aunts and uncles, come before her when it comes to us kids. She said she sees it in so many things, including the way we don't regard her parents as our grandparents or her two sisters as our aunts. And how when I turned 16 and we did a nice dinner party, my guest list included both Mom and Dad's side of the family, but not her side. My sister was the first to speak during all this, and she said nothing was ever done to make her feel bad, that she just doesn't think of her as her mom or as being her parent. Once that was said, she was talking about how much that makes her feel bad, and like she's not truly accepted. The therapist asked us to consider whether we'd be willing to deepen the relationship so she felt equally as loved and important as our dad. And Dad wanted us to consider ditching our typical Christmas dynamic and spend a time with her parents exclusively this year. Then 3 weeks ago, she brought up that I had made something for class that went into details on my family, and she pointed out that she and her family were not mentioned. Then she asked me why my grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins were mentioned on both sides, all with their own pages. But I couldn't make room for the most important woman in my life, her. I told her because she is not the most important woman in my life. I told her that will always be my mom, followed by both my grandmas. She asked if she was just second best then, and if she was unimportant, and I refused to answer. Afterward, my dad and Jenny both told me that I was cruel to say she wasn't the most important woman in my life when she is there every day and has done her best. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, and I don't think this therapist is working well for anyone. Not really. She seems to be the kind that tries to get someone what they want, and not actually working and trying to help make things realistic and healthy. Because so far, all she has focused on is trying to get Jenny what she wants and nothing else. Sessions are normally all about Jenny and how she feels, and that's about it. Not the a-hole. And I think stepmom needs a different therapist because it doesn't seem like she's getting a lot out of this one. Your feelings about this is valid, and Dad is wrong for trying to force you to deepen the relationship when it sounds like stepmom is burning bridges and looking for a ready-made family of her own. I think stepmom is getting what she wants, which is emotional validation rather than what she needs, which is actual therapy to uncover the core beliefs and life experiences that have created her distorted view of things in the first place. If she and Opie's dad genuinely want things to change, it's time to find a new therapist, not the a-hole. As a therapist, I applaud your remarks. The person they are seeing now is wildly off base and not helping stepmom to gain self-awareness she needs. Not the a-hole. I think it's time to get blunt and tell the group that you think perhaps individual therapy for Jenny, so she can work on exactly why she needs you all to pledge your undying love and devotion so badly, would be a better idea than this. Because if the goal of these sessions is to get you to pretend you don't miss your mom, let alone would ever choose Jenny over having her back, that's not realistic, and you don't think it's healthy. She's had that individual therapy. She went for a while. Not long enough. And the family therapist sucks if he thinks that it's more appropriate to change all of your feelings about your late mother than to encourage this virtual stranger to accept that she chose her husband and he chose her, but the rest of you didn't choose any of this. If she would calm down and quit demanding to be the center of attention, this would go better for all of you. Not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for hiding that I'm buying our childhood home for my brother? When my dad died, he left the house my brothers that I grew up in to the three of us and our mom. By then, it had already been a rental property for 18 years, so none of our family was living in it. Over the last 5 years, my elder brother keeps complaining that he doesn't have any money. And in the last year, he has decided that he wants to be bought out of the house we jointly own. But he wanted way above market rate, about £180,000 instead of £110,000 for a share. Mom, my younger brother and I offered him the market rate price only, but he refused and secretly contacted the solicitor and sent us all notice that he would be forcing the sale if we didn't give him the price he wanted. We tried to compromise, but he said that he didn't care about a property. Sentiment meant nothing to him and he just wanted the cash. In the end, the three of us bought him out for a price between his asking price and market value. He has barely spoken to the family since. My mom started worrying that when she passes, she's in her late 80s, the same issue will come up again. So, my younger brother and I suggested that we buy out her share, leaving the two of us the only owners. The sale went through, and when he came to my grandson's birthday party, my sister-in-law must have told him. He's furious and rang our mom, screaming at her and saying that he's been excluded from family decisions and we are purposefully cutting him out. He told her that he won't speak to her ever again unless me and younger brother apologize to him in person. I really don't think we did anything wrong, and if he's guilting mom, then he is the a-hole actually. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. What family decisions? It was not his house, not his money, not his decision. Not the a-hole. Nothing like money to make people become greedy. Let's call a spade here. Your elder brother isn't angry because a family decision was made without him. He's angry because he's lost an investment in the house. He expected to get a piece of the property and was likely going to do the same thing he did with his first time. If your mom's share of the house was divided 3 ways between you 3, he'd get a third of her portion that he had already sold his share to back once already and was looking to do it again, and probably to sell for more than it's worth again. By cutting him off from that inheritance, he will not be getting any of it, so he's angry that he's losing it. The fact is, while it may be seen as a bit underhanded to not tell him about it, simply out of courtesy as a family member, the cold hard fact is that it doesn't involve him. Your mom is her own individual, competent to make her own decisions, just as you and your other brother are. The sale was the business of the parties involved only. Therefore, you did not need to disclose any of it to your elder brother. Furthermore, it's not like he was cut out and excluded from an inheritance. This was a sale. You purchased the property. Your mom didn't give it to you two for free. The money she gained from it is hers to do with what she wants, just like the property was hers to sell to whomever she decided to sell it to. I'm guessing your brother is afraid that she's going to spend the money from the sale, or divide that up amongst the 3 of you equally in her will, rather than give him what he thought should have been his portion and value of the property to him. He's not wrong to expect that to occur. If your mom ends up in a nursing home or long-term care facility, her assets will go to that first. But what is wrong is that he expects an inheritance at all. Your mom is not required to leave anything to anyone, including him. Your elder brother lashing out at your mom for selling is awful. He's demanding an apology from his brothers, so he should be taking it up directly with his brothers, not emotionally mistreating his mother with ultimatums, manipulation, and guilt. He's just out of line in every aspect of this. But look at the bright side. He knows about the sale now, so it won't be an issue when your mom does pass, and you're all dealing with grieving as well as all the stress from the rest of her final affairs. One less drama later. He really is after that bag, isn't he? First, he sells his share, and now expects that when his mom died he would get a share again, so he can pull the same stunt he did earlier. Not the a-hole. Your brother just wants to take advantage of his own family in multiple situations. Besides, what is the broke little man gonna do? Chip in for the property suddenly? Last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving any of my grandparents' inheritance to my father's wife? My father married Amy, 29 female, this past summer. I, 27 male, have no relationship with her. I do my best to avoid any family events that she is attending. My grandparents and my father never had a great relationship, and they told me that I would be receiving most of their inheritance in camp. My grandfather passed away 2 years ago from a heart attack. I graduated from college and took care of my grandmother, but she passed away in May from cancer. I kept the camp the same as they had left it, and currently have my girlfriend, 28 female, living with me. Then I used some of the inheritance money on debt and student loans. I still have some left over, and I'm thinking about taking my girlfriend on a trip to visit her family. She's from Australia and hasn't been able to see her family since she moved here. My father spent the money he received on Amy. They announced last month that Amy was pregnant and were struggling to afford stuff for the baby. My father does work and Amy does not. Then father reached out to me a few days ago regarding the money, asking if I was willing to give some money to Amy, as she needed some money to purchase baby clothes and other necessaries. I responded back to my father to let him know that the money I received was mine and had no interest in giving Amy anything. My mother is aware and fully supports my decision in not helping my father and Amy, but he hasn't spoken to me since reaching out, and Amy is spreading lies to parts of the family. Not the a-hole. Your dad's younger woman isn't entitled to squat from your inheritance. Exactly, not the a-hole. It's their baby, not yours, and they need to learn how to support that baby. Stand your ground, or they will most likely nickel and dime you till your inheritance is all gone. For real, maybe they shouldn't have had a baby that they can't afford necessities and clothes for. Baby clothes are like $10 to $20 per pack. Yes, if you were spoiled like me and bought new, this is what it costs. All bets are off if you buy designer, so don't, lol. There are many ways to get it for free too. What kind of fancy stuff are they wanting that they need an inheritance for it? When my daughter was born in 2021, I bought her one of these big packs of onesies per size, so every 3 months until she was 1. My friends are trying to offload so much baby stuff to me right now, I have to be beating off offers for free clothes. Not the a-hole, and your dad is super weird for marrying someone like the same age as you and your girlfriend. They're grown adults. They should be able to plan for a baby if they want one, and it was your grandparents' decision to give the money to you. Enjoy it. Go scuba diving in Australia, take your girlfriend to meet her family, do whatever you freaking want with it. It sounds like you've earned it. Not the a-hole. Sounds like Amy needs a job. Shh. Trophy wives can't work. I thought everyone knew that. Not the a-hole OP, spend/save your money as you want. And don't give your father a second thought. She does have a job. It apparently just doesn't pay as well as she hoped. Not the a-hole. If your grandparents wanted your father to have more money, they would have left it to him. His finances are his responsibility. You should not feel any way obligated.